For 135 years, we've been helping families through the hardest times of their lives. That's because we're a family as well. When your family loses a loved one, we're here to help. We're Brown Funeral Home in Martinsburg, Inwood, and Charlestown, Ranson. We're here when you need us.
We have the tools, we have the talent. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time on Talk Radio WRNR. A look at local sports with the play-by-play voice of local sports, Matt Miller.
And a good Monday evening, everyone. Welcome into Miller Time. Along with Matt Crawford, I'm Matt Miller. Glad to have you joining us on this Monday evening as we spend the next 2 hours recapping the weekend in high school, college, and NFL football. And, of course, we've got to talk a little baseball as the regular season wrapped up over the weekend. And, well, I guess it didn't, because today, 2 games that are technically still regular season games to determine the winners of the National League Central and the National League West.
Well, we figured out who won the Central.
And you can tell by the tone of the voice of our own Cubs fan, Matt Crawford, that it was not his Cubs to win the Central.
I've been happier.
It was a great game, though.
It was a phenomenal game. Somebody had to win, somebody had to lose. Unfortunately, it was the Cubbies. The offense just wasn't there. The Brewers deserved to win that game just because they capitalized on every single opportunity they had, and the Cubs did not. Anthony Rizzo had an absolute moonshot into right field. That was the Cubs' only run of the game. But it was a great pitching duel. But unfortunately, the Cubs just couldn't come through in the clutch where the Brewers did, especially late in the game.
Yep, 3-1 the final as the Brewers get the victory. It was tied at 1. There's a runner at first and then a base hit, a double, in fact, down the third base line, put runners at second and third, and then a 2 RBI base hit up the middle, gave the Brewers the 3-1 lead. And what's that guy's name that you saw in high school? Josh
Hader.
Hader, that's it, Hader. Came in to close it out. Had to get 6 outs. I'm sure something he hasn't done a ton during the course of the regular season, but he was able to get those outs, getting the aforementioned Rizzo on a fly ball to relatively deep right center. It was shy of the warning
track power.
But when it came off his bat, I'm sure the whole place rose to their feet, if they weren't already standing, with a runner on, thinking maybe that's going to be the tying run. No.
Well, Cubs get to play tomorrow. So there is good news.
That's
They'll
it.
play tomorrow against the winner of the game we have on in the studio right now, the Colorado Rockies and the Dodgers, playing for the NL West title right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't an elimination game, but it certainly puts the winner in a little more of a driver's seat, you might say, because now Milwaukee gets a couple of days off, don't have to come back out and play tomorrow, and they know they're going automatically into a best-of-5 series, whereas the Cubs have to come back out tomorrow. They do get to host, so there's the good news. They don't have to travel. They'll sleep in their own beds and then regroup after this one and come back out tomorrow, while either the Dodgers or the Rockies will travel. But that means you now are in a win or go home, and this has to affect their pitching then going into the divisional series.
It does, and it really affects pitching today. I know that was something that listening to the sports talk shows this morning, I mean, just being a baseball fan, and having an IQ of the game, you think about it, and you're playing back-to-back. I don't want to say do or die, because today wasn't a die situation. It puts you a little further in the hole than the team who won in both of these tiebreak games. But it's interesting because you have, obviously, Josh Hader, you mentioned, came in and got the 6-out save. He's a reliever. He's going to come in anytime they need him to. But when it came to starting pitching and how long to let starters go, how many guys you wanted to use out of the bullpen, in these games, it's a fine line. Because, especially in that Cubs-Brewers game, because it was so close, it's a shootout one way or another. Obviously, it's going to make that decision easier for the managers. But in a tight game like that, and this one's still tight, but still in the early stages between the Rockies and the Dodgers, but it makes it interesting. All right, who are we going to play today? Who are we going to pitch today? How long do we stay with certain guys? How early do we go to a pinch hitter in certain instances? So today would have been a very difficult day to be a manager, and probably one of the tougher days it is to be a manager, because while managers do a lot in baseball, they don't have these kind of situations pop up every single day.
Well, it's the old adage we talk about even locally on the high school level, right? When you get to the postseason and you're in a sectional tournament and you look and say, well, I need to hold this pitcher or that pitcher or save this guy for that situation because we're hopefully going to win today and play tomorrow. You have to win today to get to tomorrow. So if you have to burn everything up, then you burn it up in order to get to tomorrow and then just hope that whatever happens, you have enough in the tank left over to get the win. In other words, you have to win today. And if that means throwing a guy you really didn't want to throw today, then you got to throw him. You got to get through today in order to get to tomorrow, which is interesting because today isn't that do or die, as you said. You're still going to be playing tomorrow, but you're going to be a little further behind the 8 ball like the Cubs are now, and either the Dodgers or Rockies will be, because now tomorrow does become that one and done.
And it makes it sucks that the Cubs are a 94-win team, and their season's going to come down to one game against a team that's going to have 91 losses. It's the fun part about baseball.
91 wins.
Or 91 wins,
yes.
Sorry. No, nobody with 91 losses is making the playoffs.
You were thinking about the Orioles.
No, they had 115 losses.
Let's talk a little bit about the Orioles and the Nationals, because they wrapped up their regular seasons on Sunday, and they wrapped them up in very different ways and kind of unique ways, because
that were complete opposite of how the regular seasons actually went.
Well, I mean, the Orioles, as you said, lose 115 games. They basically sell out, trade out most of the players that, you know, on the team that had value, that they could get something in return for. And so the end of the year comes and they play the Houston Astros, who are one of the top teams in the American League going into the playoffs, and the Orioles get a shutout win. Was it 4-0 the final, I believe?
Yes.
I saw 4-0. It was in the 8th or 9th, but I didn't see the final. So that was kind of ironic. But then you had our Nationals, who ended the season just the way you might expect, because they struggled all year to score runs. And at times they gave up some runs. And so in Colorado against these very same Rockies, where the Nationals could have played the role of spoiler. They could have beaten the Rockies and already settled it. The Dodgers would have won the West, and the Rockies would be waiting to play tomorrow in Chicago. But instead, the Nationals get beat 12-0.
That sums up their season, though. Honestly, they lost in a fitting way. Their season ended in a very fitting way. A disappointing loss to end a disappointing season.
All right. I want to know how it sounded. We weren't able to carry yesterday's game. We did have Saturday's game, but of course yesterday we had NFL football and the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Ravens. We'll talk about that later on as well. But because of the pregame and the timing and everything, we couldn't get in that last Nationals game. So what did it sound like from Dave and Sean?
Now, don't get your hopes up. It's not quite as glum going to a funeral as you think it may sound.
Really?
But here's the final call from the Nationals' 2018 season.
Harper off second, 2 out. Here's the pitch. Swinging a chopping ground ball to third. Handled by the third baseman, McMahon. And he loops the throw to first in time for the out. Nice play on the short hop. And the game is over. The Rockies win their 91st game of the year. They take the series from the Nationals 2-1. They win this one going away. And now with the Dodgers winning as well, both teams 91 and 71, heading into a game 163 to decide who wins the National League West and who will be a wild card team.
So see, it was more kind of just on what the Rockies are going through rather than totally engulfing the bad season for the Nationals.
So what you're saying is Charlie didn't just really grasp a hold of the disappointment of this year.
And I would have. I mean, you got the last call of a very disappointing season. What are you going to do?
Yeah, well, it was a season that at the beginning of the year, they were right there as a team to be selected and or thought of as one that could be competing for a World Series championship. And as this year played out, it became, hey, who might they get rid of around the trade deadline, to, no, we're staying pat, we like where we're at, we still believe we can come back, to within a month going, all right, we'll get rid of some players. And we'll even put some players out there on the waiver wire that some may not have thought would get out there.
Like a Ryan Zimmerman,
and
like Mr. National himself.
Yes.
It's like the O's putting Cal on the trade block.
And then there's, getting rid of some relief pitchers for various reasons, some that didn't seem too legit at the time. Anyway, it boiled down to they did finish over 500, 82-80.
Big whoop.
I told you it means something. It still means something.
We have a caller on our WVU Medical Berkeley Medicine hotline. Who we got on Miller Time tonight?
This would be the host of Rob and Dave.
All right,
Mr.
Dave.
Welsh, what's going on?
I'm watching on TV, and Crawford, you got to get off the head.
Oh, Dave, you broke up right there. You were watching on TV, and then we missed it.
I said I'm watching on television, and I said that Cubs hat that Crawford's wearing just isn't making it with me tonight. And just in the event that we end up playing each other, the Dodgers and Cubs.
I'm hoping, and I told Matt this before we got on air, I'm really hoping it is the Rockies that are facing my Cubbies tomorrow because, quite frankly, I think the Dodgers pitching staff will just have their way with the Cubs lineup. The Cubs lineup has not been very good over the last month or so I am right now rooting for your Dodgers.
Well, I'm just hoping that the Dodgers get to win this game tonight and stay home for a couple of days and get ready for the Braves and at Dodger Stadium. But it is pretty exciting, though. I mean, it really is. And I wish that they didn't have to do it, but hey, it's kind of fun. And but there's nothing like kind of poking each other a little bit. Your Cubs and my Dodgers. That's a fun thing to do. So I just thought I'd call in and say go Blue.
Are you wearing your Dodgers hat or jersey while watching the game?
I've got my Dodgers T-shirt on and my Dodger hat on.
All right, go Dodgers. I'm kind of neutral on this game. Like
your Rangers have been eliminated since what, April?
That's what I told Matt earlier. I said that there is an advantage to rooting for a team that didn't make it to the postseason or even have a sniff of the postseason because I don't have a player in the fight. I'm just looking for good baseball.
Do you have a second team?
The Nationals would be my second as a National League team, and as an affiliate, I tend to follow them more than any other. So no, outside of Texas and Washington, it doesn't matter to me whether it's Yankees, Dodgers, Rockies, Astros. I just want to see some good postseason baseball.
When I watch a game as I'm watching tonight, with watching the Dodger game, I mean, I just go right back to my childhood. It would be. I'm sure for just like a lot of people in our area who with great memories of going to Orioles games as kids, and it takes me right back to that. So it is, as they say, I saw a picture of Tommy Lasorda, where he used to say, I bleed Dodger blue, and that's kind of the way I am as well. I know Hornby gets tired of me talking about it, but when you have a team in the playoffs, you talk about it. That's what you do.
And there it is. They are, in the playoffs and hoping to be the NL West champions. They have a base runner. It was a third strike passed ball. And so now the Dodgers have a runner on at first. And who's at the plate?
I believe that is the former Oriole Manny Machado.
Yeah, and how do you always say it?
Manny McAdoo.
Yeah, with a 10-game hitting streak. So thank you, Orioles fans, for giving us Machado. He's come through this year.
You think you guys are keeping him? Is he going to sign and stay out there?
I don't know. They haven't counseled with me on their future plans, so I don't know. But I think he can write his own ticket, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, and that's why I wondered, the Dodgers had to know when they got him that it was a risk that they would be taking, but also I figured they had to, think they had a chance to re-sign him to a long-term deal and keep him there. So,
well, if he wants to play on a winner, he's already on. Not that they're the only winner, but if he wants to play on a team that's got prospects of winning in the future, I would think that staying right there is a good deal. But these guys are so, not to take anything away from them, but they are really, these new ball players are really young business people too. They understand it. They're being well advised by their agents. I know that from just talking with my buddy Reese Hoskins. He's a 25-year-old slugger for the Phillies, but he gets the business part of it real well too.
Well, we've got only about a minute, and then we've got to get into a break. But are you in agreement? I'll ask both you and Matt, Dave. This is going to be one of the most fun off seasons that we've had in a long time with the number of quality guys that are out there that could change teams.
Totally agree, and there's a lot of parity in these playoffs too, so no one knows how it's really going to go.
Yeah, I agree completely. Again, you have the Machado, whether he's going to sign in L.A. or whether he's going to become a free agent, and obviously the biggest name out there is going to be a local guy in Bryce Harper, whether he's going to stay with the Nationals. Don't think he's going to. I would be willing to put money on the fact I don't think he's going to be a National next year, but then it's going to be, all right, well, where could they end up?
Reese wants him on the Phillies. Anyway, take care, guys. Thanks for letting me horn in.
Yep. Dave, thank you very much. Yep, talking some playoff baseball. It is a fun time of the year. Dodgers and Rockies still scoreless. Dodgers batting bottom of the fourth. We'll keep an eye on that one. Again, Milwaukee defeated the Cubs earlier 3-1, so the Cubs will host tomorrow's NL wildcard game. Or is that Wednesday? Is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
So it is tomorrow, and then the American League will be on Wednesday. Now, see, why does baseball do that when you got two NL games that are being played today to determine things? Whoever makes schedules, they're either smarter than us or anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Let's take a break. We'll come back with more Miller Time after this.
Talk with Rob and David.
Dave, you getting beaten up on Facebook again today?
It's not a squirrel. It's something else. This is on Messenger or Facebook or whatever, but when Bibi Hahn, who's a candidate for a state delegate over in Morgan County, she says, ugly on the left. We're not the ones separating parents from babies and putting them in cages. Yes, we're angry, ugly. Speak for yourself. I did not call the left ugly. I said that if they are not careful in the presentation of their protest over the Supreme Court justice, they could be perceived negatively by centrist voters. That's what I said. I did not call them ugly. And Bibi, just for the record, I want you to know that I do pro bono work for a Dreamers organization in Northern Virginia and was very outspoken on the separation of mothers from their children at the border. So know your facts before you take me on.
You want a piece of me? You got it!
Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and David. What did you listen to last week?
I'm Mark Istook with the NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network. In Chicago, it was the Mitch Trubisky show all day long. 6 touchdowns from the second-year quarterback as he led the Bears' beatdown of the Bucs 48-10. The Patriots avoided their first 3-game losing streak since 2002 with a 38-7 win over the Dolphins. Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott provided heroics late in the fourth to set up a game-winning field goal for Brett Maher, and the Cowboys topped the Lions 26-24. The Bengals beat the Falcons in Atlanta. The Packers blanked the Bills. The Jags handled the Jets. The Titans surprised the Eagles. And in overtime, the Texans topped the Colts on a game-winning field goal as time expired. In the afternoon games, the Saints beat the Giants. The Seahawks escaped in Arizona. The Silver and Black get win number 1. And in the nightcap, the Ravens beat the Steelers. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Napa know-how.
Right now, 5-quart jugs of Napa Full Synthetic Motor Oil are only $18.99. It protects your engine from sludge and extreme temperatures. But did you know it also protects our troops? Yep, with each purchase of Napa Full Synthetic for $18.99, a portion goes to the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer ends 10/31/18.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit BigLou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too.
Get your flu shot at the Berkeley County Health Department, 122 Waverly Court in Martinsburg. Here's Angie Gray.
There's 2 influenza A strains, which is the H1N1 that's been circulating. H3N2 is in the flu vaccine this year. They have adapted it to the circulating strain that was predominant last year. They've increased that to be a better match. Then there's 2 B flu vaccine strains that are in the vaccine. So it's quadrivalent is all that's available this year. There's no more trivalent, so you'll get all 4 of those strains to help be protected with this shot.
Hello, racing fans. Get set for the best of thoroughbred racing action Saturday, October 13th at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. West Virginia Breeders' Classic 32 features local favorites vying for a year-end championship. Bring your family and friends for an exciting night of gaming, fine dining, and 9 action-packed races for West Virginia-owned, bred, and trained thoroughbreds. Post time is 7 p.m. at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. That's Saturday, October 13th. Make your plans now.
And they're off in the West Virginia Breeders' Classic.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time on this Monday evening, taking a look back through the weekend in sports. We've been talking mostly baseball as the regular season wrapped up yesterday. Well, technically, today there's 2 regular season games going on. One's already in the books as Milwaukee beat Chicago to claim the Central. That means the Cubs will host a wild card game. Check the schedule during the break, and it is tomorrow. I guess because they already have those things set up.
Did you not believe me?
Well, I believed you, but I'm just thinking, why don't they change those things so that you don't have a team that has to come out and play back-to-back?
TVs are set up, tickets are printed, these are made months in advance.
I understand.
There wasn't a 163rd game, but there was another game going on in baseball today. Miami and Pittsburgh were trying to make up a game, but it got canceled.
I was going to say, was there a real necessity for that?
So right now, the way I see it, they're only going to play 161 games, while there's 4 teams that played 163 games. So this year we're going to have 2 teams played 161 and 4 teams played 163.
But again, no reason to play a game that is what you would say meaningless.
Nope.
It's not going to affect standings. It's not going to affect anybody making the playoffs. I guess the only thing you might say is if there were someone on either team who was in the race for the batting crown or the home run crown or the RBI crown or whatever, maybe then you look at it and say, ooh, it's a little unfair. But
so sticking on, we're talking about the Orioles a little bit before the break, and the Orioles, we kept up with this throughout the entire season for the most part, or when it was relevant, which was pretty soon after the start of the season. The Baltimore Orioles finished 47-115. That is a .290 winning percentage. That means the Orioles are now the 15th worst team in Major League Baseball history, right behind the 1928 Philadelphia Phillies and right ahead of the 1911 Boston Rustlers. I'm sure you remember them fondly.
I do not. I didn't even recognize that name.
But the only other team that is on this list, and it's the 20 worst, or I guess it's not the 20, it's teams that finished on this list is teams that finished 300 or worse. And there's now only 2 teams since the turn of the 2000s that are on this list. The 2003 Detroit Tigers, who are the 6th worst team in baseball history.
I was going to say, they actually lost 119?
119. They finished 43-119 for a .265 winning percentage. But yeah, nobody close. I mean, but other than those 2 teams, the next closest is the 1962 New York Mets. So, well, you may say that baseball is not the same as it used to be. That's pretty bad.
But what I will say is this. I read an interesting article over the weekend, and it was about the Orioles and a very tough season. And it was Caleb Joseph, who they had talked with at the beginning of this article. And, he commented about the challenge that this season was, not just in wins and losses, but as the season went along and players were traded and the complexion of the team changes, it changes in the clubhouse and it changes in the family area as well. As Caleb Joseph talked about, he and his wife and their small child, and, their small child going, hey, where's so-and-so? Because their friends have moved with their families and so forth. But what got me is even in that article, he said, look, no matter what, we're still professionals. We're competitors. We want to be at least a 500 team or better. And I thought, well, that's at least where the Nationals finished. I know to you it didn't mean anything, and to a lot of people maybe it doesn't, but at 82 and 80 is better.
You got to take in context the way I said that.
I understand.
I'm not saying that finishing 500 and the way that the Pittsburgh Pirates finished this year, not bad at all. I'm just saying that you got to take it in context.
All right, let's take a break. Back with more Miller Time.
CBS News update. Arizona GOP Senator Jeff Flake's vote is crucial to the confirmation of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, and Flake wants to make sure the FBI does as thorough a renewed background check as possible.
Some witnesses or potential witnesses may not want to cooperate, but for those that can and those who we can compel to cooperate, we've got to do a fulsome investigation.
President Trump says he wants a comprehensive investigation of his embattled high court nominee, and he's given the FBI free rein. CBS's Bill Rakoff.
A Justice Department official tells CBS News that the White House did authorize the FBI to expand the background check on Kavanaugh to include anybody that it thinks is necessary to help vet claims of sexual misconduct against the Supreme Court nominee. Although they can expand the investigation, that official says the 7-day timeline still applies.
CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
A perfect evening to have the windows cranked open, letting the fresh air in. Skies are going to be fair. Winds are going to be light. We'll see early morning lows into the lower 60s. High temperature tomorrow, upper 70s to near 80. Clouds will increase gradually after some morning sun, and a couple of later afternoon showers and thunder showers are possible. We're back to sunshine Wednesday with a high close to 80 once again. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
Hello, this is Joe Manchin, and growing up in my hometown of Farmington taught me that people matter more than anything else. I've never cared what political party anyone belongs to, as long as they'll work with me to help West Virginia. I've been meeting with clergy and faith leaders all over West Virginia to talk about health care for people with pre-existing conditions. Patrick Morrissey's lawsuit would take away these protections. 800,000 West Virginians have a pre-existing condition, such as diabetes, high blood pressure, asthma, and cancer. Losing health care would be devastating for so many of our people. Patrick Morrissey is dead wrong, and he just doesn't know West Virginia. As West Virginians, we look after one another. That's why I'm also fighting for strong military, for secured borders, keeping our promises to our veterans and minors, and to protect Social Security and Medicare for our seniors. I'm Joe Manchin, candidate for the United States Senate, and I approve this message.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
It's a wrap in Chicago as the Cubs fall 3-1 to the Brewers. So Milwaukee, they are the NL Central champions. The Cubs now await the loser of Rockies and the Dodgers, which is going on as we speak. Monday Night Football, you got the Chiefs and the Broncos. They'll have the first kick a little bit after 8 o'clock Eastern. Not a shocker. Buccaneers announced today and confirmed that Jameis Winston will be their starting QB when they come off the bye week, and they're back in week number 6. Some players are back with their teams, including Julian Edelman. That 4-game suspension is over. Mark Ingram, his suspension over as well. O.J. Howard will be missing about 2 to 4 weeks as a sprained MCL. College football, AP Top 25, Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State moves up to 3, Clemson to 4, LSU remains at number 5. I'm Keith Irizarry. This is NBC Sports Radio.
Remember that last trip to the auto mechanic?
I also think your solenoid gasket is bad.
What?
Yep, that'll be another $500.
Forget that and go to D&N Auto Specialist at 230 Tavern Road, Martinsburg, where honesty is their best policy. Serving the Eastern Panhandle since 1974, D&N Auto is family-owned and operated, specializing in exhaust alignments and tires. From general maintenance to major overhauls, they'll treat you right. Call D&N Auto Specialist at 304-267-4078. Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com. And we welcome you back into this Monday edition of Miller Time. Matt Miller, Matt Crawford with you till 7 o'clock this evening when it's off to the Dana Holgerson Show live from Kettler's Sports Bar in Morgantown. Tony Caridi leading the festivities, as you hear from the head coach and others from 7 to 9 tonight. And then it's dun, 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 Monday Night Football. We'll join it in progress beginning at 9 o'clock.
All right. Before we talk about the NFL, because I want to get your reaction on what one of the headline stories was in the NBC Sports Update you just heard. We'll talk about your Buccaneers here in a minute. But first, it is that time of the night. It is time to take a look at what's going on tomorrow in sports history. Taking a look at the 2nd of October. Went straight from September to October in these things without even batting an eye. Starting in 1921. 1921 New York Yankee outfielder George Herman Ruth, otherwise known as Babe, hits the then record 59th home run in a 7-6 win over his former club, the Boston Red Sox, at the Polo Grounds. 1932, a couple from 1932 actually. The New York Yankees win their 12th consecutive World Series game and sweep the Fall Classic for the 3rd time. The Bronx Bombers had 19 hits as they rout my Chicago Cubbies 13-6 at Wrigley Field.
Now that is a dynasty.
And that was the day after the infamous Babe Ruth called shot at Wrigley Field. So that was today in sports history. That was when it's still a controversy to this day whether or not Babe Ruth actually called his shot on a home run to center field, whether he was pointing at Cub pitcher Charlie Root, whether he was yelling at a fan somewhere. Nobody knows. But the old wives' tale is that it was a called shot to deep center field at Wrigley Field. 1932, the Washington Redskins played their first franchise game. They lose to the Brooklyn Dodgers at Braves Field. Do you know what the name of the Washington Redskins was when they started their franchise?
Washington Redskins?
Yes.
Washington...
You're not even in the right city.
I was going to say, where did they begin?
They were the Boston Braves.
Braves. There you go.
Then they became the Boston Redskins. Then they became the Washington Redskins.
All right.
And just 5 years after they played their first game, they won their first NFL championship over the Chicago Bears in 1937.
So they still kept the same line
It was
of
Native
Braves
American
to Redskins,
yes.
right.
Yep. 1947, Yankee catcher Yogi Berra hits the first pinch hit home run in World Series history. Deja vu all over again.
There you go.
1974, future Baseball Hall of Famer, right fielder Hank Aaron hits his final home run as a member of the Atlanta Braves in a 13-0 game over the Cincinnati Reds. Aaron's 733rd career home run and his last as a member of the National League. It's hard to see him, or it's hard to imagine his career in anything but the Atlanta A. 1977, Dusty Baker hits his 30th home run of the season. That was bad. He was probably still smiling then, too.
Probably still had a toothpick in.
1983, wide receiver Art Monk begins his NFL streak of 183 consecutive games with a reception. The Redskins beat the L.A. Raiders that night, 37-35.
What'd you say that date was? 1983? 3, okay. So that was in his 3rd NFL season.
Yes.
Just 3 years in, and he begins that streak. That's impressive.
2005, NFL plays its first regular season game outside the United States when the Arizona Cardinals defeated the San Francisco 49ers 31-14 in Mexico City, Mexico. And one more for you. 2016, veteran broadcaster Vin Scully calls his final L.A. Dodgers game after a record 67 Major League Baseball seasons.
Yeah, that's incredible. And we heard from David Welch earlier with Eastern Panhandle Talk with Rob and Dave. Tune in and join them each weekday morning from 8 to 10 right here. And growing up in California, not far from L.A., and as a Dodgers fan, he will tell you it's just not the same. I mean, he spent his entire life listening to Dodgers baseball with Vin Scully, and to turn on a game and not hear that tone and that delivery is difficult.
Yeah. One of the best to ever do it. That's
Absolutely.
For sure. That is your look at what's going on tomorrow in sports history. All right, let's talk some.
All right,
hold on. All right, we're not going to talk NFL.
No, we are. But before we do, I just want to chime in that loyal listener Tommy says, "Hey, don't forget the Wizards have a preseason game tonight. We need to talk about that." And then
how could I ever forget that? It's also officially game week in the National Hockey League.
Oh yeah,
Wednesday night, baby.
They
the
raise the banner and then drop the puck.
It's kind of raise the banner, drop the puck.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Looking forward to that, and we'll have that broadcast for you right here. We had a chance earlier in the day through text to connect with John Walton, and he's going to try to join us the first part of next week. He said things are so hectic right now, and we can only imagine. We know what it's like when we're getting ready for a local high school season. To do it on that level and celebrating a Stanley Cup championship, it's going to be wild on Wednesday night. And so hopefully next week, though, we'll get a chance to catch up with John Walton and take a little deeper look into this season ahead for the Capitals and whether they are ready to defend or whether they may have a little Stanley Cup hangover.
There's going to be a hangover. Everybody has a hangover at some point the year after. It's so tough to win back-to-back championships at any level. I don't care if you're in Pop Warner or if you're at the high school. That's what makes the Martinsburg run so successful, and what makes what the Penguins have done so successful.
The Musselman volleyball run when you stay on the high school level and you talk about teams that are able to do it again and again and again. One team that has not been able to do that, my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I know leads to where you were going, and so now we get there in a roundabout way.
This is what you sounded like yesterday, right?
That was a disgraceful performance. In my opinion, that sucked.
Was that you keeping up with the score yesterday?
Somewhat. You know, I hadn't even paid a lick of attention.
When are you going to hop back on the NFL bandwagon? I've had about enough of this. Get back on the bandwagon.
At some point I will, but now more important things going on. We had some church activities and outreach and other things after the service yesterday, and then a family time in the afternoon. And so as a result of all of that, I hadn't even opened my phone and looked at anything until you text me to say something about it's Winston time again. And that's when I realized, oh, wait a minute. I wonder how it's going. It must not be going well. I thought one of two things when you first sent that. Either it's going well enough that they brought in Winston just to give him some time.
You didn't honestly think that, did you?
Just for a split.
Yeah.
It was like a twinkle in my eye just for a moment. And no, then I went over and it was 30 whatever to 3, and what was the final, 48 or something? It was, I got it on my phone here. Hang on. Yeah, 48-10. The Chicago Bears. Then my next thought was, as I did then look at the score, and then shortly thereafter looked at my Facebook page, and I saw our own Sherry
Dieter Davis,
that she was at that game, and I totally forgot when she left on Friday and was telling us that she was going to be in Chicago over the weekend and was going to get a chance to see her beloved Bears play a football game. I didn't even think about the fact that the Bucs were in town. So I did send her a congratulatory nod on her Facebook page and said, I'm glad we could at least give you a very good time at your Bears game.
I just can't believe the Buccaneers defense let Mitch Trubisky set the Bears record for the most touchdown passes in a game.
Yeah.
The record was 5, and he broke that in the first half.
That's the thing.
He's not that good of a quarterback.
I didn't see it coming. You know, I mean,
you can see it against the Steelers.
We watched the first half, but see, again, you go back to that Steelers game and you say that's a game Tampa, if they fix a few mistakes in that first half, still had every opportunity to win. While they, as bad as they played in the first half, they came back out and the defense did a good job, didn't give up any points. The offense came back and rallied, and they got to within 3 and lost, 30-27. So I was honestly thinking, look, this Bears team is decent, but not that good, that they would be ready to come out and play. And they didn't play well in any facet of the game. What you played earlier from Jim Mora is absolutely accurate. You hitting it again?
I'm going to try to.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wondered if you had it queued up, ready to go, but
that was a disgraceful performance.
Offense?
In my opinion, that sucked.
Defense? Yeah, in every facet of the game, they were bad.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
But they weren't who you thought they were.
No, because the Bears came out playing like world beaters.
Here's my initial thoughts on that game yesterday. I get the Buccaneers are not that great of a football team. But how do you go, and I get the whole Fitz magic thing, and Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing out of his mind.
For 2 games.
How do you go from playing that good to playing that bad? Because you take away the first half of the Steelers game, and of the 12 quarters of football that they had played through 3 weeks, he and the offense and the defense had played phenomenal for 10 of those.
Yeah.
So it blows my mind.
And against good competition.
Yeah.
Saints, top team in your division.
In New Orleans.
Eagles, defending
Super Bowl
champions, although they lost again this weekend.
That was awesome. I loved that, by the way.
And so, and then the Steelers, who have been a powerhouse in the AFC. So, yeah, against good teams, I didn't see the Bears whipping up on them the way that it happened. But now what it means is the door is apparently open as the Bucs have announced Jameis Winston will be back in the starting role. Because clearly he played much better after he came in yesterday. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 9 of 18. That's 50%. Not good. I get it. 126 yards. Not real good. No touchdowns, 1 interception. But Jameis came in and went 16 of 20. All right, I like the completion percentage. I'll give him that much. 145 yards. All right, not much more than what was thrown for by Fitzmagic. And then you go, no touchdowns. Oh, but 2 interceptions. And I'm going, okay.
One being on the first pass he threw.
Which was a wobbly, wounded duck.
Yes.
So what did he show that leads you to believe, and he's got a history, and I stand corrected. I misread the stat line. He did have 1 TD, so 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions for Jameis Winston. But look, you haven't won with him. You did at least go 2-2 without him.
I think it's just you're putting youth over a veteran who, you look at Ryan Fitzpatrick's career, he's had streaks like that.
That's it. He's up and down.
And then you know that you're not going to get an entire season out of that. I think they were willing to ride it until that happened.
Right.
But I don't think that as a Buccaneer, and I loved watching Ryan Fitzpatrick do what he did, and I'm with you. I'm not a Buccaneers fan at all. I'm not a fan of Jameis. He hasn't done anything to deserve anybody's respect. But at the same time, you're comparing somebody that you drafted and is still young enough that he could possibly, in the right system, turn his career around, or at least not necessarily become elite, but be a winning quarterback in the NFL, versus a veteran that has shown stints of brilliance, a.k.a. the first 2 games this year, but has never been able to put together a complete season. You know what you're getting out of Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think the Buccaneers organization and the coaching staff still believes that Jameis is young enough that they can mold an offense around him. That's what I'm thinking. Again, Jameis Winston's done nothing to warrant respect from anybody, but I think that's probably the direction that the Bucs were going.
I'm imagining that, they gave him a lot of money. They made him the top pick. So, they're invested. So he's going to be the guy. I just hope he gets in there and does something, to turn things around for himself and for the Buccaneers. But as a Tampa fan, I'm not buying it right now.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
And that's it. I hope the Bucs can win another game. I don't want to finish 2-14 and go, hey, you won your first 2 and drop 14 in a row. Hey, we got another place to go in the NFL when we come back. You saw what happened to poor Earl Thomas, the safety for the Seattle Seahawks.
I think he wins our Donk of the Week award.
Well, we'll talk about that and a little bit about Pittsburgh and their, tough loss against the Ravens last night, as heard right here. That's next as we continue talking NFL on Miller Time.
My name is Ed Floyd, representing the Central Church of Christ located at 90 Waverly Court in Martinsburg, and I have a special invitation for you. Alan Webster, author of Heart to Heart and House to House, the special bulletin published by the Jacksonville, Alabama Church of Christ, for which Mr. Webster preaches, is our special speaker. He is well qualified and ready to preach the truth from God's Word. If you enjoyed reading Heart to Heart and House to House, which was mailed to some of you for the past 5 years, you will respect his teaching and God's Word will have its way into your heart. Our meeting is October 7 through 11 at 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Sunday morning Bible study will be at 9:45, worship at 10:45, and our evening service will be at 6 p.m. Some of his topics are 4,000 years in 40 minutes, God's plan for saving man, marriage and the family. Will you please come and be our special guest for all of these services? Thank you.
John's Pool Supplies thanks everyone for their patronage again this season and suggests that now is the time to schedule your pool closing. John's Pool Supplies reminds those that didn't open their pools this year that they should be treated with chemicals, vacuumed, and closed to prevent serious problems in the future. John's Pool Supplies, close to Gold's Gym on Eagle School Road, has all of your swimming needs, including toys, floats, chemicals, maintenance equipment, and quality PDC spas and swim spas. John's Pool Supplies, where no pool is too green. Phone 267-2000.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved at Rotary.org.
Burke, Schultz, Harmon, and Jenkinson. We're accident, injury, and disability lawyers with over 120 years combined trial experience. We play hardball. If you've been hurt in a car wreck, don't sleep on your rights. Insurance companies hire staff to reject or minimize your claims. You need a seasoned professional to fight back. Call 304 Lawyers for a free consultation. If you make no recovery, there is no fee. 304 Lawyers or 304-263-0900.
Do you wish you had more time? Are there projects lingering in the back of your mind? Well, help is on the way. The Stair Store Inc. and Perry Railworks is dedicated to providing builders, contractors, and homeowners in our area with quality custom stairs, handrail installations, tread replacements, custom millwork, and stair parts. Owner Randy Perry has been working in the industry for over 31 years. The Stair Store and Perry Railworks products and services are of the highest quality at competitive prices. In Virginia, call 703-794-0507, perryrailworks.com.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time. Along with Matt Crawford, I'm Matt Miller. Hey, by the way, the Dodgers have had a pair of two-run home runs to take a 4-0 lead over Colorado. That game now bottom half of inning number 5. Muncy and Bellinger. Bellinger hit the first two-run homer. Muncy just hit the last one to give the Dodgers the lead. So David Welch is in happy land right now as a Dodgers fan.
I'm happy as I can be in this moment because, again, I think the Cubs have a better chance in a one-game playoff beating the Rockies than they do the Dodgers.
We'll find that out tomorrow, as the NL wildcard game will be tomorrow. The AL wildcard game is on Wednesday. The bulk of the playoffs get underway then Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday. All right, as we continue on the NFL, do we want to go ahead and talk a little bit Ravens and Steelers, or do we want to jump into Earl Thomas as we were discussing right at the end of that last segment?
I'll leave it up to you. They're both bad stories.
Yeah, well, yeah, for local Steelers fans, not good as they fall to the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens fans are excited about it, but Earl Thomas, the reason we bring it up is it was just a week ago, right? We talked about how going into last Sunday's game, while he did have 2 picks to help that Seattle defense, he was in the hot seat because he had missed a couple of practices, upset over his contract and wanting to renegotiate a new deal, being in the final year of a 4-year, $40 million deal. So he had decided he needs to watch out for himself. He has to be number one, and he's got to be at 100%. So he said if he felt like he had a headache, he wasn't coming to practice, and that was part of the interview after last week's game. Unfortunately, in yesterday's matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, Earl Thomas went down with a leg injury, an injury that he had suffered before in his career. It does turn out to be a broken leg, which means Thomas will be done for the season. But what was crazy is the antics as he is on the back of the cart and being carted down the opposite sideline.
Cardinals sideline.
He's along the Cardinals sideline. His team is across the field on the other sideline, and Thomas looks over and promptly flips the bird. I don't know. I haven't seen any post-game type of comments from him because obviously with the injury, I'm sure he was not available in the locker room or anything after.
If he can't go to work, he can't do an interview either.
I'm sure. So I haven't heard anything, whether it was supposedly just joking around, you having some fun with his teammates, if it meant something towards the coaching staff and or the ownership, still part of his being disgruntled. I don't know, but it certainly was an odd, unexpected gesture when an injured player is going off on a cart and flipping off his team on the sideline.
To me, get rid of him. I mean, obviously, he's injured for the rest of the year, so you're not going to be able to get rid of him. But to me, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. He needs to get over himself. He's a human being. He's a football player. He signed a contract for 4 years, $40 million. He was going to get $10 million a year. Whether he was injured or not, there was probably going to be at least 25 of that guaranteed. That is more than 99% of the people coming to watch his games are ever going to make. And he's complaining that they weren't invested in him and he had no love shown towards him. So if they're not going to give the effort, why should he come to work? If they don't want him, why should he come? Dude, get over yourself. I'm sorry you have a a season-ending injury. That sucks. Injuries suck. They're part of the game. And then the comment that the comments that teammates made just make it even worse.
Well, and this one was tweeted out by Malcolm Jenkins with the Eagles. He starts out saying, praying for you at Earl Thomas. And then he adds this, that we risk it all for our teammates and our fans with little reciprocity. At the end of the day, the player shoulders all of the risk and the scrutiny. I wish the best for one of the best in this generation.
Yes. Okay.
Little reciprocity?
Is $10 million a year little reciprocity? I'm going to let you say that word.
Yeah. Reciprocity?
Yeah. For some reason, I can't get that word out. Is that much money little to them? You know what? If I'm getting paid that much money, I'm going to take those risks too. If somebody tells me, hey, you're going to take, I get the whole CTE and after football effects and having the joint replacements and all that stuff. So I'm all for the health care after football. If you play for more than X amount of years, you get, okay, cool, do that. Because those guys are putting their bodies on the line. Okay, you want to do that, cool. But don't tell me while you're playing that getting $10 million a year or more for some players isn't enough for what they go through. You sign up for that. That's why you get paid the absurd amount of money you get paid.
Well, and the crazy part is, for both Malcolm Jenkins and Earl Thomas, you guys are signing those type of deals. You don't want to come out and, because you got a headache, put it on the line in practice. What about those young guys, those rookie guys, those guys that were free agents, those guys like our former Shepherd Ram players that are making $100,000 a year, if they're even making that much to play the game? They're out there going through the same thing. Have a little respect for them. All right, we got a break here at the top of the hour. Stay tuned for more Miller Time.
Now your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. The first impeachment trial of a justice of the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals will begin this morning. Members of the House of Delegates will act as prosecutors for Beth Walker's trial in the Senate, with the Senate acting as jury. A heads up from the West Virginia Division of Highways about upcoming work on Route 9 near the Opequon Bridge. Beginning as early as tomorrow, Route 9 westbound will be reduced to one lane just east of Douglas Grove Road. One lane will be closed at a time for concrete slab replacement. Once the project begins, westbound traffic will see one-lane conditions at that location 24 hours a day. Work should be completed within 2 weeks. According to Workforce West Virginia, the state's not seasonally adjusted unemployment rate declined 0.5% to 4.9% in August. Unemployment rates declined in 53 counties and were unchanged in 2 counties. Jefferson County had the second lowest unemployment rate in the state at 3.3%. I'm Adam Boardman, Talk Radio WRNR News.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
Super comfortable and pleasant outside for tonight by October 1st standards. We'll see temperatures dropping through the 70s slowly. The late night low only 63 degrees as the winds come in light southerly and they keep temperatures held up. Plenty of sunshine available for tomorrow, too, although more clouds will increase toward afternoon. We'll see high temperatures in the upper 70s. A couple of late-day thundershowers possible. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
Dress up, have a fun night out, and celebrate Italian heritage at the 37th Annual Columbus Day Dinner Dance, October the 20th from 5 until 11 at the Elks Club in Hagerstown. The dinner dance is sponsored by the Order Sons of Italy in America, Dan DiMucci Lodge number 2465 from Martinsburg and Hagerstown. The featured guest speaker is Dr. Joe Cincinnati. It's $35 to attend. That includes the dinner buffet, music by Giovanni Live, and door prizes. Get your tickets no later than October the 5th by calling Carol at 304-262-2337.
There's this funny correlation between the size of a gift for a woman and her excitement level. Oh, she gets excited if you get her a gift, any gift. It's exciting to get a present. But compare her excitement over a big box that has, say, a new closet organizer system in it to a little, really little box from Bechtel Jewelers. Big box with big items in it. Little box with something very little and tiny and sparkly in it. Big box with practical stuff, which is good for sure. Who doesn't want a new blender or espresso machine? Little box with fine jewelry in it. Maybe new earrings, a diamond pendant. All kinds of things fit in that little box. Big box, little box. Which one gets her more excited? The simple truth is, the littler the box, the bigger her excitement. I'm Lori from Bechtel Jewelers. We are the little box store. We have the little boxes that bring on the majorly big excitement. For the gift that excites her and delights and say love so clearly, come see us.
It took 44 years, but Lord Stanley's Cup is finally coming home to Washington, D.C.
And as the puck drops, the words that D.C. fans have been waiting to hear since 1974, the Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions.
The Capitals come into the 2018 and 19 season with expectations of repeating as the Southeast, Eastern, and Stanley Cup champions.
I said, not me say, it's just us saying, we're not going to be sucked this year. We're the Stanley Cup champions! Yeah!
Make sure you tune in all season long so you don't miss a shot, hit, save, or victory, as once again, WRNR is your Panhandle home for Washington Capitals hockey. Talk Radio WRNR, your local leader in talk, news, sports.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time on this Monday evening, the 2-hour edition leading up to the Dana Holgerson Show from 7 to 9. Sorry. And Monday Night Football joined in progress at 9 o'clock. As we're coming back, if you're watching on TV 10 or the WRNR TV channel on YouTube, I was checking my Facebook. We put a post out earlier, and I was just trying to make sure that it was reaching folks as we were finally able to post the Martinsburg at Washington video from Friday night's game to our WRNR TV page on YouTube. So you can go check that out if you were desiring to do that. Couldn't get the video going the way that we had hoped to on Friday night. Had some technical difficulties with the card and connection that comes from the field here to the studio. So bear with us as we continue to work through the growing pains of trying to operate a TV station and a radio station kind of all at the same time.
It's a fun time.
It is.
It's a fun time to be in the building.
It's a challenging time, but a fun time. New adventures, and with new adventures comes sometimes things that don't go quite the way you want them. So
we're trying.
But eventually, at the end of the day, we'll have a new light bulb. You know, whatever those adventures were and the things that inventors go through.
All right, where do you want to go from here?
Well, we got to go back to the NFL because we promised we would talk just briefly about the Ravens and Steelers because we had that broadcast for you last night right here. Both you and I took the Ravens in this game, didn't we?
We did.
Right?
So,
I thought so last Wednesday.
I'm not convinced on the Steelers this year. And last night, I think, reassured that a little bit.
Is it because there's no Le'Veon Bell?
No.
Or do you think that matters at all?
No.
If he were there, they would still be struggling.
I'm sure he would help, but I don't think he's going to turn that team around.
Right.
He's a very good running back. I'm not taking anything away from that. He could be. He's a game-changing running back. I don't know if he's a season-changing. Does that make sense?
I get it.
I think there are certain instances where maybe he can be the guy you give it to 35 times and he can really just run away with it. I'm not sure that he's necessarily a season-changing running back. I think if he was, they would have gone a little deeper last year.
So it's because they're not getting the ball to Antonio Brown enough. That has to be it, because he wants the darn ball.
He does want the darn ball, and he drops the darn ball half the time they throw it to him. I think it's the defense this year, to be honest with you. I think it was, I mean, you look at the way they lost to Jacksonville last year. Team put up, 35 points? The Steelers' offense did? It was up there. And it was a shootout game. To me, I think right now it's the Steelers' defense not playing up to the steel curtain level that they're known for. Not this defense, but the Steelers' defenses in general. So that's where I think the issues are with this team.
Yeah, but last night's final, 26 to 14. So, again, the offense doesn't produce that much, while the defense gives up about what they've been giving up, if not even a little less than some of the points that they've been giving up. Who are we going to hear from?
Let's hear from the starting quarterback first, who was very frustrated after last night's game, very quick with his answers and wasn't getting into a whole lot of detail. But this was Big Ben after the loss last night.
I don't think I'm on the same page as anybody right now because I'm not playing well enough. I need to play better. Today was just a bad day at the office. We've all had them. I had one today, and I promise I'll be back to play better.
Speak for himself. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, he's been having a rough go of it to begin. He's had to kind of carry the team. I mean, he's thrown the ball an awful lot.
Well, again, they're not running the ball well. And I don't know that that goes against, the running backs that they have right now as much as they're not getting holes to run the football. That's why, as you said, is Le'Veon Bell going to suddenly make this team
is he the
start
guy that
winning
is
games?
going to be able to make – I mean, yes, every running back has the ability to possibly make something on their own. I don't know if Le'Veon Bell is the kind of guy that's going to do it that drastically.
All right, who else we got?
Let's hear from Mike Tomlin, the head coach. Here's a little clip from his post-game interview and how his team played after the game last night.
Not enough playmaking in the second half of the football game for us to secure victory, and really is as simple as that. They made the plays when they had the ball to maintain possession of it and move. We didn't make enough plays quickly enough to get off the field, and on offense, we didn't make enough plays to possess the ball, and so they dominated the time of possession and were able to control the game in the second half. We got to own that. We don't like where we are, but we accept it. We understand that it's our doing. We just got to keep working. We will do that. We won't make excuses. Disappointing tonight, but the sun will come up tomorrow. We'll look at it, assess it, make necessary adjustments and things relative to our performance and who's available to us, and get ready to roll again. That's our story.
That's their story, and they're sticking to it.
You can't do anything but, right? I mean, you can't go back and replay this game. So, but this is a tough one. I mean, this one hurts because it's against a division rival, and really right now, puts the Ravens in the driver's seat for the top spot in the division. So, and we'll see if the Steelers can bounce back. Once again, Steelers affiliate this year, so you can hear Steelers football throughout the year on Talk Radio WRNR.
And how about my Redskins yesterday?
They didn't lose yesterday.
They didn't lose, but still, they didn't win either. But they still claimed first place in the NFC East.
So
the Cowboys got the win, but the Cowboys got the win yesterday, but still have one more loss than the Redskins. The Eagles lost yesterday, and the Giants fell yesterday. Not that the Giants are going to be relevant this year. I still want to go on record as saying Saquon Barkley would not change the Giants as drastically as everybody expected them to. I'm going to need to go back and find that clip just so I can play it as the season goes on. The Giants are a bad football team, and
now they're just a bad football team with a good running back.
Yeah, and he's good. He is a really good running back. He has made some plays where you kind of have to rewind it and go, wow, he's a rookie. Like, that's impressive for a rookie. But he's really it's very similar to how his brother ended his career when I'm talking about Eli Manning. This year, Eli, it's dunk down, dump down, dump down. Incomplete, looking flustered, doesn't know where he wants to go with the ball. The offensive line isn't necessarily there. So I think you could very well be seeing the last year of Eli Manning in the NFL. If not, definitely with the Giants. Because they weren't sold on him last year. And he hasn't done anything to really, I don't think, stand out so far this year. Obviously, he could have a better... The season's early.
Right.
But from what everybody saw last year, now moving on to this year and his age, maybe somebody picks him up who needs a veteran quarterback for leadership purposes. But I don't see Eli being a New York Giant next year. I think with the nice running back addition they have in Saquon Barkley, with still the youth of Odell Beckham Jr., I think you add a young quarterback, add more of the mobile style quarterback, because Eli Manning's, while these quarterbacks still succeed in the NFL, Eli Manning isn't a top-tier drop-back pass quarterback anymore. He was at one point. But right now, the NFL, while you can still be a drop-back passer, you need that mobility. That's just part of the NFL game right now. And Eli Manning doesn't have that, which I think is why he's struggling, because defenses can just close in the pocket and know he's not going anywhere.
Well, they're struggling. The Cowboys are struggling. And now with the Eagles struggling a bit also, this division certainly seems like it could be wide open for the Redskins to take. If they can be consistent.
It's there for them, but...
Because you go from week 1 to week 2, and then from week 2 to week 3, and you go, which team are we getting coming out of the bye? Will it be the good team in weeks 1 and 3 on the road against New Orleans? They owe one to the Saints with the way it played out last year.
Yeah, the 15-point lead with 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
That was a tough one.
We'll be joining that game in progress next Monday night, because that is a Monday night game. So, again, we'll have 2 hours of Miller time, our regular Dana Holgerson call-in show from 7 to 9, and then join the Redskins and the Saints next Monday night at 9 o'clock. So the Redskins...
It's there for them to take. I think they just have to. It's a tough schedule for the Redskins, but I think they've shown spurts.
But they have to beat their own division.
They have to beat their own division, and they have to be able to put together a complete football game. With the 2-1 record they have right now, and everybody talking about how good they played against Arizona and how good they played against Green Bay, they played good halves against both those teams. Of the 3 games they've played so far, they've played 1 full game of good football. They played an awful game week 2 against Indianapolis. They played 1 half of good football against Arizona and 1 half of good football. And this is offensively. Defensively, they're surprising the heck out of me this year. But they've played offensively 1 complete game worth of football over 3 games and are still 2-1 and leading the division right now, right at the quarter mark of the year. So it's there. They need to be able to put together a complete game of what they've succeeded with. Adrian Peterson drinking from the fountain of youth. He's doing great. Number 5 in rushing yards through the first couple weeks. So it's there. They just need to figure out how to make it last the entire game.
Well, speaking of putting together or needing to be able to put together a full game, the West Virginia Mountaineers hung on to get a victory at Texas Tech on Saturday after just racing out of the gates to the big lead, and then had to hold on to get the victory. We'll talk about that when we come back. We'll hear a little more about that, I'm imagining, with our Mountaineer Report. Tony Caridi standing by with that report as a part of this break, and then we'll come back and hear from Dana Holgerson himself and talk a little more about the Mountaineers improving to 4-0 over the weekend. Stay tuned for more Miller Time.
Knock me down, step in my face, slander my name all over the place. We'll do anything that you want to do, but honey, lay off them shoes and don't you step strap on my blue suede shoe.
Hello, this is Joe Manchin, and growing up in my hometown of Farmington taught me that people matter more than anything else. I've never cared what political party anyone belongs to, as long as they'll work with me to help West Virginia. I've been meeting with clergy and faith leaders all over West Virginia to talk about health care for people with pre-existing conditions. Patrick Morrissey's lawsuit would take away these protections. 800,000 West Virginians have a pre-existing condition, such as diabetes, high blood pressure, asthma, and cancer. Losing health care would be devastating for so many of our people. Patrick Morrissey is dead wrong, and he just doesn't know West Virginia. As West Virginians, we look after one another. That's why I'm also fighting for strong military, for secured borders, keeping our promises to our veterans and minors, and to protect Social Security and Medicare for our seniors. I'm Joe Manchin, candidate for the United States Senate, and I approve this message.
The victory in Lubbock propels the Mountaineers into the top 10. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story and more coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics.
When you order your groceries online at Kroger.com or with the Kroger app, you can do your shopping anytime, anywhere, like the gym, the office, or your favorite comfy couch. Plus, when you visit Kroger.com, you can find hundreds of money-saving digital coupons. And whether you place your order on your phone, tablet, or computer, it's still your neighborhood Kroger. So you'll find all the fresh choices, low prices, and great deals you love. And once you've selected your coupons and finished your shopping, you choose a pickup time that fits your schedule. And relax while your order is hand-picked, just the way you like it. Then all you have to do is hop in the car and drive to the store's pickup location. And a friendly Kroger associate will load your specially picked order for you. You don't even have to get out of your vehicle. It's so convenient. Save time. Shop online today at Kroger.com.
By virtue of its victory on Saturday at Texas Tech, West Virginia now a member of the top 10 in both of the major polls. WVU comes in at number 9 in the AP poll this week, number 8 in the coaches poll. In that AP poll, West Virginia, one of 4 Big 12 schools that are ranked. Oklahoma comes in at number 7. The Longhorns of Texas are 19th, and the Cowboys of Oklahoma State come in at number 25. The Red Raiders of Texas Tech out of the top 25 this week after their loss to WVU. Some notes from that game. West Virginia is now 6-2 all-time against Texas Tech, and that includes a 3-1 record in games played in Lubbock. West Virginia in the month of September under Dana Holgorsen is 24-5 and 8-3 in September road games. West Virginia, now since 2000, is 116-15 when they score more than 30 points in a game, and 60-4 when they score over 40 points in a game. Halftime, that's always been good for West Virginia. They have now won 18 consecutive games when they have the halftime lead, and overall they are 45-6 under Dana Holgorsen when they have the lead at the half. Quarterback Will Greer continues to play well. 3 touchdown passes on the day. He now has 17 on the season, 51 in his career, and he threw for over 300 yards again, the 13th time he's done that in his WVU career. Coming up tonight, we'll talk about the Mountaineers and more. The Dana Holgorsen Show from Kegler's Sports Bar begins at 7 o'clock. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from IMG.
Do you use catheters? At Comfort Medical, we understand your needs. Nobody wants to use a catheter, but because you have to, let us help you make it an easy and virtually pain-free process. At Comfort, we've been a leader in home delivery of medical supplies for years. You know us, and you can trust us. We have hundreds of catheter styles to choose from, and if you're covered by Medicare or private insurance, you can get up to 200 catheters per month at little or no cost to you. We have catheter specialists standing by right now to help you select the best catheter for your unique needs. Call now and speak with a friendly catheter specialist. 800-399-6835. 800-399-6835. Remember, with Medicare or private insurance, you can get up to 200 catheters a month at little or no cost to you. So call right now. 800-399-6835. 800-399-6835. 800-399-6835. That's 800-399-6835.
With 4 new car dealerships and 4 used car dealerships in 3 states, Parsons is the largest used car and fastest growing new car dealer in the tri-state area. Take Parsons Ford with huge savings on hundreds of new Fords, financing from 0%. Parsons' goal of financing for all, and Parsons' famous above-market trade-in allowances that help make Parsons #1 for used cars, too. See why so many won't buy anywhere but Parsons Ford in Martinsburg. We became #1 by making you #1 first. Parsons.
We welcome you back into Miller Time along with Matt Crawford. I'm Matt Miller. Hey, the Dodgers have added an RBI base hit from the pitcher to take a 5-0 lead. Top of the 7th, Rockies getting ready to come to the plate.
Looks like it's going to be a Rockies-Cubs game tomorrow.
Rockies-Cubs.
That's what I wanted.
There you go. So you didn't get the win today, but you feel confident that the Cubs can get the win tomorrow.
I didn't say that. I said I'm feeling more confident than I would if they were playing the Dodgers tomorrow. But still not confident.
So how confident are you going into the postseason as a whole?
I wasn't, to be honest with you.
So if they win tomorrow and advance to the divisional round,
my confidence doesn't just automatically spike up. No. The offense has been very sporadic the last month and a half of the season. I mean, they've had showings where they look phenomenal, and they've had showings where you're going, that's not a deep into the playoff quality baseball team.
I got to look it up on MLB.com to see how the pairings will go. So do the Dodgers automatically get the Braves with this win if they hang on to get this win right now?
No, the Dodgers get the Brewers. And then the Dodgers will get the Braves, and the winner of the wild card game will get the Brewers.
So it could be the Cubs and Brewers again in a best of 5 after they just played to see who was going to win the division.
Yep.
That's what I was wanting to see. I had not seen the overall breakdown yet. At this point, you have the Brewers, it looks like, at 1, and then the Dodgers/Rockies at 2. Cubs are waiting in the wings for the Rockies-Dodgers winner, and it looks like whoever wins that Cubs game is going to get.
The divisional series starts Thursday, and it'll be the wild card winner at the Brewers, and then that'll be, I guess, the earlier game.
So that's crazy to think.
Yes, it's an earlier game because the late game will be out in L.A.
The Brewers, with that win today, become the top seed.
Yeah. That's how good the Central was this year.
Well, I was going to say, and I would want to know, looking back through MLB history, when's the last time that the top seed going into the playoffs was actually determined the day after the regular season ended with a special, season-ending game just to determine who was going to win the division?
Well, I know this is the first time that they've ever had 2 of these games in the same season.
And they're in the National League. So what's that mean? Is the National League going to win it all? I mean, the Red Sox.
It's hard to look against the Red Sox and Yankees.
And the Yankees have won 100 games, and they're the 4 seed.
Yep. The Yankees would have won almost every other division in baseball.
Right.
But they were 10 games back in their division to end the season. It's insane.
Which is crazy because then you're going to have, if the Yankees get by the A's in the American League wild card.
Wouldn't that be something if a 100-win team didn't even make it past the wild card game?
And it could happen because the A's have been red hot down the stretch of this season. So, but that means the Yankees and Red Sox, who would have the 2 best records overall in the American League, would actually meet in the division series. And then the Indians and Astros
so it wouldn't even be
meet on the other side.
It wouldn't be. They wouldn't have the 2 best teams in the AL playing in the AL championship.
Not record-wise. Because of the fact that the Yankees get in as a wild card.
All right, do you look at this scenario? Because I'm up in the air about this. Do you look at this scenario and go, I can see why certain leagues just do a straight 1 through 6?
In other words, seed them based on record.
So basically,
bang, 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 bang.
you have the pennant for saying, hey, we won our division, but it doesn't really mean much.
No, I like it the way it is.
You like it? So you like the fact that number one, a 100-win team may not make the playoffs, and number two, if they do, they wouldn't have the ability to play for the AL pennant?
Go back in the day when you had American League East, American League West, National League East, National League West. That's all you had. And you took an East and a West winner and got together, and you had 90-plus, 100-plus win teams that didn't get in the playoffs at all. So, yeah, is somebody going to be hurt? Yeah, I mean, it's hard to win that many games and not get a chance to be in the postseason. But that's the way it goes sometimes.
Sports sometimes.
That is it. It is sports. All right, let's go back to the Mountaineers. We heard a little bit there from Tony Caridi as West Virginia did get the much-needed win at Texas Tech. Moves them up to number 9 now in the AP poll, so up 3 spots from a week ago. Incredible first quarter, 28 points.
Yeah, they were running away with it at halftime, then get outscored in the second half, 24-7.
I was going to say 7 more in the second quarter, has them out in front, 35-10 at the half. And we were down at the Shepherd game, and through my phone, hey, here's the score. Hey, here's the score. Which, by the way, as a Marylander, you didn't seem to care that much about at times. We're trying to transform you into or transplant you, as a West Virginian. So you got to get some roots in here. But nonetheless, the Mountaineers did hold on, and as the Shepherd game ended and we got our post-game interviews and things and then made our way back to our vehicles, I know my brother and I quickly turned the game on, and we just missed what proved to be the
interception.
Yeah, the interception for touchdown. That was the difference in the game.
Yep.
And it was like, oh, we missed that. But that means the offense didn't score in the second half. They've got to be better than that when it comes to some of these other stiff challenges that they're going to face when they still have to play Oklahoma States and Oklahomas and those kind of teams. Texas.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from the throat-clearing man at the top. Hear from Dana Holgorsen. Some of his thoughts. We'll have a little bit more throughout the week with his coaches show tonight and the press conference show tomorrow. You can hear that from 12 noon to 1 p.m. from the IMG Network here right on Talk Radio WRNR. Let's hear a little bit after the game. These were some of Dana Holgorsen's thoughts after the win over Texas Tech.
Proud of our guys for just hanging in there for 4 quarters and finding a way to win there at the end. So, hats off to Texas Tech. They're a lot of teams would have shut things down at halftime. Being down 25 points, 35-10. We played a really good first half. It was really how I focused all week on starting fast. I guess I forgot to tell them there was a second half, but. Didn't finish very good. That's on me. We got to evaluate it and see what went wrong. But really, I give Cliff and his team a lot of credit for coming out in the second half with the new quarterback and playing their tail off, especially defensively. They shut us down, and they kept playing and gave themselves a chance there at the end. So good teams find a way to win, especially on the road in the Big 12. So we're happy about that. We're thrilled to be 2-0 in the Big 12, and defense stepped up and hung in there, made a play at the end, to get us some points on the board, which obviously we needed a few to win.
Head coach Dana Holgorsen of the WVU Mountaineers. He can make that joke at the beginning because they won. I forgot to tell the guys there was a second half. They blow that lead. That joke is probably going to be surrounded with some of this noise.
Actually, I'm not even sure he makes that joke.
Yeah,
because
I think he's a little angry or
upset. But, give it to Texas Tech. They made adjustments, and the Mountaineers made mistakes. It seemed like in listening to the postgame show, some penalties and things were costly in that second half, that they weren't able to maybe sustain things or get that big play that they were able to get in the first half. Look, at the end of the day, it's a win.
It's a win against the top 25 team. That propels the Mountaineers up to number 9.
Yep. So
inside
into the top 10 for the first time in a while.
I was going to say, when's the last time they were in the top 10?
I read just yesterday an article, and I thought it said 2012.
Okay.
Was the last time that they were up at number 5 back then.
Was that the Geno era?
Trying to think. Would that have been Geno, or would that have been even before with...
It wouldn't have been before, I don't think.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look it up to see for sure when Pat White and the era coming through. But I believe it was 2012. Either way, they're where they need to be. They got to win. They moved up in the rankings. They stay undefeated in the Big 12, and now they've got Kansas coming in for homecoming, and we'll see how that one plays out this Saturday.
Was the Geno Smith era.
All right. Hey, we got to take another break. Bottom of the hour, back with more Miller Time after this.
CBS News update. They're not finished yet, but the FBI has begun to interview Mark Judge, who Dr. Christine Blasey Ford says was in the room when she was sexually assaulted by Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. NYU law professor Rebecca Roife.
I think it would be one of the first moves that the FBI would make. It's good that they went to interview him.
Yale classmate Chad Luddington just told reporters Kavanaugh has not been upfront about the extent of his college drinking.
I can unequivocally say that in denying the possibility that he ever blacked out from drinking, and in downplaying the degree and frequency of his drinking, Brett has not told the truth.
Senate Leader Mitch McConnell.
The time for endless delay and obstruction has come to a close. Judge Kavanaugh's nomination is out of committee. We're considering it here on the floor, and Mr. President, we'll be voting this week.
CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Local forecast. Weatherman Bob Kukin.
A perfect evening to have the windows cranked open, letting the fresh air in. Skies are going to be fair. Winds are going to be light. We'll see early morning lows into the lower 60s. High temperature tomorrow, upper 70s to near 80. Clouds will increase gradually after some morning sun, and a couple of later afternoon showers and thunder showers are possible. We're back to sunshine Wednesday with a high close to 80 once again. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
It's Ram Truck Month at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Martinsburg, and that means great deals all over the lot, like 2018 Ram trucks with up to $12,500 off. Stop by and inquire about the no money down specials and no payments for 90 days. Yet other great deals like 2019 Dodge Grand Caravans from $26,900 or a 2019 Chrysler Pacifica for 0% APR plus $500 Chrysler Capital Cash. With over 300 trucks, SUVs, vans, and cars in stock, you'll find just what you're looking for during Ram Truck Month at Miller's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Kelly Island Road, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. All payments based on approved credit, taxes, tags, and processing fees extra. See dealer for details.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
It's a wrap in Chicago as the Cubs fall 3-1 to the Brewers. So Milwaukee, they are the NL Central champions. The Cubs now await the loser of Rockies and the Dodgers, which is going on as we speak. Monday Night Football, you got the Chiefs and the Broncos. They'll have the first kick a little bit after 8 o'clock Eastern. Not a shocker. Buccaneers announced today and confirmed that Jameis Winston will be their starting QB when they come off the bye week, and they're back in week number 6. Some players are back with their teams, including Julian Edelman. That 4-game suspension is over. Mark Ingram, his suspension over as well. O.J. Howard will be missing about 2 to 4 weeks as a sprained MCL. College football, AP Top 25, Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State moves up to 3, Clemson to 4, LSU remains at number 5. I'm Keith Irizarry. This is NBC Sports Radio.
I'm an official sounding scientist, and I'm here for a comfort experiment. We're going to recreate the way your home heating system works in your car. Crank up your heat. Blast it at your face. Starting to break a sweat? This is central heating. A Mitsubishi Electric Zone comfort solution with hyperheating allows you to get just the right amount of heat exactly where you need it. Fast. No cold drafts. It's comfort made personal. This concludes our little comfort experiment.
Take advantage of Mitsubishi Electric's 36-month 0% financing on qualifying systems at McRae Heating and Cooling. Celebrating 80 years in business with free estimates available online at McRaeway.com.
You need to keep your vehicle in good working order, but car and truck repairs can be very costly. Bears Repair in Martinsburg performs all kinds of auto repairs at prices most often well below their competition. Bears Repair offers tune-ups, oil change and lubrication, small and large engine and transmission repair, wheel balancing, front end alignment, exhaust system replacement, air conditioning checks, auto inspections, and new tires. Stop by for a free estimate at Bears Repair, 904 Winchester Avenue in Martinsburg. Phone 262-0208. Bears Repair. And we welcome you back into Miller time. Still a 5-0 lead for the Dodgers over the Rockies, going to the bottom of the 7th out at Chavez Ravine as the Dodgers look to claim the National League West and move on to the division round, while the Rockies will end up facing the Cubs in Chicago tomorrow in the National League wild card game, unless the Rockies can, rally in this one. We will wait and see.
I just don't see it.
No, not the way that this Dodger pitching staff can throw the baseball and the way that they've thrown it so far in this game. All right, we talked a little bit about the Mountaineers there in that last segment. Let's turn to a game that at halftime was closer than one may have thought. But in the end, the Shepherd Rams got exactly what you expected, a lopsided victory on a homecoming Saturday afternoon in Shepherdstown. First, we've got to talk about the jerseys. What did you think as they came out in the new Ghost of Shepherdstown look?
As a non-broadcaster, as just a fan in the stands, I loved them. I thought they were a cool... I thought they were cool. I think that's the best way. I thought the gray on gray was cool. I thought the way they infused the blue and gold, the traditional Shepherd colors into there, was awesome. I thought they looked good with the helmets. I do agree that I think it did make the helmets look a little less shiny. I think it's the best way to put that. They didn't pop as much. But it was weird to see them not in the home blues back-to-back home games.
Yes. My only thought was, or I guess two thoughts. I'm with you from a broadcast type of standpoint and or, PA announced, that sort of thing. Those numbers, I think, could have been a little difficult to see at times because of the dark blue with a little bit of gold trim on the kind of charcoal gray color, which leads me to my main thought, and that was to hear the title of the uniform as the Ghost
of
Shepherdstown. I would have thought that it would have been a little lighter shade of gray. In other words, I thought the charcoal gray was a little darker than what you might think. When you're thinking of Ghost, you think of the lighter texture. You think more of the Casper,
Yes.
And not that you wanted to go white, but I just thought maybe a little lighter hint in that gray than the darker charcoal gray. But all in all, I liked him as well. I thought it was a fun look.
And a unique twist.
Yes, and clearly they played well as they get the 61-21 victory. But it was close at half.
It was, and I think through now 4 games, we're going into that halfway mark of the season. Game 5 coming up when they travel to West Liberty to take on the Hilltoppers on Saturday. Yes, they do sit on top of a hill. Very creative.
They do.
Very creative nickname. I think the defense is playing well. I do think that when you've looked at each of the games so far, the two things that I noticed, at least, and maybe this is me just being critical of a Ram defense that has just been as solid as they come, really the last 4, since Coach Klein's been there, and even before him.
Yep.
But this has been a defense that just is rock solid. The pass rush is not where it was with the last graduating class's defense all the way through their 4 or 5 years, which is expected because that was an extraordinarily good defense and front 7 in particular. And you look at that front 7, we talked about the secondary in that defense 2 or 3 years prior, and then when they went, you kind of talked about, the secondary's not where it needed to be. Then this graduating class from last year goes out. Now the front 7 is not necessarily where you expect it to be. And also looking at the defense, Shepherd doesn't give up a whole lot of consistent, long, big drives. but they do get burnt in certain times when you're going, they can't afford to give up a 67-yard touchdown right there.
Mm-hmm.
When they're starting to pull away, then all of a sudden there was a 62 or 63-yard touchdown pass on a 1st and 10. And you're going, that's not, I mean, you never want to give up that play, but you can't on the ensuing kickoff right after you score a touchdown to go up by 3 scores, allow that on a 1st down and 10. So right now, I think if you had to look at an Achilles heel for the Shepherd University Rams, I think you're looking at the defense right now. But it's nice to be able to say this and have them come off a 21-point performance. But you look at that defense, and you look at what the last couple years, or really the last 5 to 10 years on that defensive side of the football has been, it's definitely not as strong as it was.
Well, and you look back to game 1 of the season, and they win that game if it weren't for several big plays that the defense allowed. You know, long plays, 75-yard run type plays. And so it has been the big play that has hurt this Ram defense in the early going of the season. Plenty of offense, though, to be able to make up for any of those big plays. And the defense certainly as a whole played very well on Saturday. Gave up just 2 points, and really they weren't responsible for those in that second half as the Rams led 27-19 at the break, and then went on to give up just a safety on a high snap over the head of the punter in that second half.
Punter's got to get up more. I'm just kidding. Now
Come on, Rue.
Rue couldn't have gotten up any higher on that. That was an extremely high snap. But Shepherd's not playing bad on defense. I don't want people to think I'm sitting here going on it. They let up 21 points. They're awful. No, Shepherd's defense is playing very good this year. But comparing it to what they did last year and have done in the past, I think if you're looking at where certain areas of the team has regressed from last year, it's definitely on that defensive side of the football. And looking at that pass rush and the fact they've given up quite a few big plays so far.
Concord, 286 total yards of offense on the day for the Shepherd Rams, 576 as they get the 61-21 win. All right, who are we hearing from?
I'll leave it up to you.
Let's go with the head coach. Let's hear from Ernie McCook and get his thoughts after a homecoming lopsided victory.
It's always great to have a win on homecoming. It's we've had some tough losses at Concord in the past, so to get a win against them on a homecoming crowd, a beautiful day, electric atmosphere, feels really good.
You talk about that homecoming crowd, a couple of big teams honored here and teams that you've been a part of. How special is that to get to win in front of those guys?
Oh, it's awesome. I always talk about how homecoming is pretty special because you're going to see somebody that's going to take you back to a memory that's pretty important to you, and you don't know it's coming because that person just appears, and so that's what makes this about the family, the fellowship of football, Shepherd University, and who we are and what we are.
Let's start on that offensive side of the football. It's got to be nice when you have a true freshman quarterback and not necessarily a young offense, but an offense that's still kind of growing, and to be able to rest them at the end of the game.
Yeah, that was great. We were able to do that, and the best thing about it, the guys that we put in were pretty effective. A lot of times when you make those substitutions, it kind of gets things out of sync, but they stayed in sync. They were able to continue to grow and build, and really pleased with it. We'll come to work tomorrow and grade the tape and make whatever decisions, make whatever corrections we need to make and move forward, but we're going to enjoy this one tonight.
Take a look at that defensive side of the football. Not a lot of long drives, but a couple of big plays. What did you see on the defensive side of the football?
Our defense is always going to make us a really good football team. Having a great defense gives you a chance to win a lot of games and win championships. And every once in a while, there's going to be a breakdown in a coverage or something like that. We'll give up a big play. But all in all, when a team has to really fight for every yard, like most teams do have to do against our defense, we're going to be on the good side of the win-loss column.
I know you still got to look at some film and definitely look at film for next week at West Liberty, but initial thoughts on West Liberty?
I had a chance to watch them a little bit on Thursday night a couple weeks ago. I think that they'll be a team that presents us problems. They're a run-around, physical defense. And I think they've got a great offensive coordinator up there and Mike Keller, and Their head coach is an offensive-minded guy. He's going to have something. West Liberty's going to have something we're not expecting. So we'll have to be able to adapt, and we'll have to be able to take this week and prepare as we kind of move forward with that.
One last question on that offensive side of the football. A little bit of a dual threat at running back after the win against Concord. You had Sturdivant and Glover getting the ball a good bit. Did you see a lot in both of them during the week to give equal timing?
We see a lot of great things in both those guys, and we also like Sam James and Anton Squire. So we've got 4 really good running backs that we're going to be able to build off of and do some great things.
Coach, congratulations. Good luck next week.
Thank you very much.
So there you hear from Ernie McCook, head coach of the Shepherd University Rams, fresh off a big win on Saturday, and now on to face the West Liberty Hilltoppers.
Who, again, do reside on top of a hill.
They do, absolutely. And they fell against Notre Dame this past week in a big way.
Yeah, big way late.
Okay.
That was a tight game at halftime.
It was at halftime, yes.
That was the reverse of the WVU game.
But much like the second half of Shepherd, when the Rams really pulled away from Concord.
It was even closer than the Shepherd-Concord game was at half. That was a one-score game at halftime.
And in the end, as I wrote it down here, the final score was 55-21. Notre Dame gets the win over West Liberty. Latest Division II AFCA coaches poll rankings are out, and Notre Dame's still the only Mountain East Conference team in the top 25. They've moved up to number 20. And Charleston, who lost to Urbana Thursday night of this week, still in the others receiving votes category, but just 1 vote. So someone in the state of West Virginia who has the opportunity to cast that vote gave it to Charleston as opposed to giving it to a Shepherd team that's riding a 3-game winning streak and annihilating their competition.
I was going to say, and blowing teams out of the water. You lose by 2 to Notre Dame. 2. It's not like Notre Dame came and blew Shepherd out. I mean, it was
an 18-point deficit, and you came back and almost tied it.
Shepherd's loss, sole loss this year is by 2 points, and it was to the number 20 team in the country right now. And Shepherd's not even receiving votes?
No.
That seems awful strange to me. Is that me, or does that seem
I agree with
a little
kind of
off the wall?
And especially when you consider the fact that they started the season in the top 25, in the top 20.
Yeah.
They were like, 16, 15, if I recall correctly, 14?
I think it was 16.
Somewhere in that range as the season was getting started. And again, all of that is based on, what they did coming out of last year and so forth. But to be considered good enough to be ranked before the season got started, and now 3-1 with your only loss by 2 points against the team that's ranked number 20 to not even be receiving votes, you do question, but it doesn't matter because it all boils down to the regional rankings, which won't even come out until about week 8 of the season. And then
week 7. Is it after week 7 or is it before week 7?
I think it's after week 7, so you'll get them and then play week 8, week 9, week 10, and then week 11 is when they actually will announce who's going to be in the playoffs.
That's coming up close, though.
It won't be long.
We're going into week 5 right now.
If you missed it, I watched the fourth quarter of IUP at Cal UP on Saturday night. And IUP, who many would have thought would be number 1 in the region, they were number 2 in the nation in that AFCA coaches poll. They lost.
What does Cal look like this year?
Cal was only 2-2 going into that game. They had apparently
that's a rivalry
gotten
game,
off to a sluggish start, but had reeled off a couple of wins in a row. If I'm correct, they dropped their first 2, then 1-2, and then in this rivalry game, the part that I saw, IUP had the football driving down by, I believe it was 8 at the time. So they would have needed the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. They were inside the 15-yard line and ran a run-pass option, and the pass got picked off and returned 103 yards for a score, and that allowed Cal to get a little breathing room, and then the defense did its job holding IUP, getting the football back enough that they could drop to a knee twice, and IUP drops down to number 14. Now, what's interesting is Westchester.
I was going to say, now there's only 2 remaining undefeated teams in the region, right?
Westchester is still 5-0.
And they almost lost to Shippensburg.
And they moved up from number 13, they moved up to number 13 this past week. So they're actually ahead now of IUP. So you're still looking at IUP, Westchester, Kutztown, all in the top 25, with Notre Dame as the only MEC in the top 25. So it just gives you a little bit of an idea of where the ratings may go. You're not seeing Northeast 10 teams up there right now.
You're not going to,
so,
I don't think.
You've got to imagine that the field is wide open for a couple of teams from the Mountain East Conference to be in the postseason.
Well, let's break it. We got a few minutes. We're going to take a break. You look at 7 teams are going to make it into the playoffs.
Yep.
From Super Region 1. You'll have the overall number 1 seed getting a bye, and then you'll have 3 games played that week 1. So you're looking at least 1 team from the Mountain East, at least 1 team from the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. The NE10's going to get 1 team, and the GMAC's probably going to get 1 team. But the GMAC isn't guaranteed 1 team. Remember, Findlay was not guaranteed to be in the playoffs last year, which makes that Shepherd loss that much more frustrating.
Absolutely.
Last year's, so there's 4 right there. So odds are they're going to give the GMAC a team. Just based on Super Region 1, they're probably going to give the GMAC a team. So that leaves 3 at-large bids. And you already named 2 other top 25 teams from the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. So that leaves 1 spot open. So are they going to take yet another team from the PSAC, or are they going to take only 3 from the PSAC and take 2 from Shepherd? It's just so when you look at how much the committees love the PSAC and how little respect, for somewhat good reason, the Mountain East gets, it's hard to see 2 teams unless one of them unless the second team could possibly be Shepherd, them taking only 3 teams from the PSAC and 1 or 2 from the Mountain East.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking is that, for Shepherd, all they can do is continue to win. Okay, you lost your opener. What's that mean? That means they have to keep winning. And as long as they keep winning, I think they'll be in at 9-1, because whether Notre Dame loses a game and finishes 10-1, and there's a quote-unquote tie for that conference championship, or whether they go all the way and go 11-0 with their non-conference game, I still think 2 from the Mountain East will get in, especially when you consider that next option is Shepherd, who is about to make that transition into the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. I guess the question is, what does happen to that GMAC? Because right now in the Northeast 10, LIU Post is 4-0 overall, and
they're a shoo-in.
Well, not necessarily. Now,
LIU Post is
last year was Assumption, and Assumption is 4-1 overall. They lost a non-conference game, but Assumption is 4-0 in the league, and New Haven is having a strong season. They're 4-1 overall and 4-0 in the league. So right now in the Northeast 10, you've got 4 teams at 4-0, and everybody else is 2-2, 1-3, or 0-4. So there's 3 teams right there that are going to battle it out to see which potentially one of them gets into the postseason, or whether 2 of them can find their way in. I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
It'll be interesting.
And that's why they don't put out the ranking until after Week 7, going into Week 8, I believe it is, because you got to have enough football to really be able to have an idea of where to put these teams based on what they say, strength of schedule and head-to-head competition and all of those kind of things. Need a break?
We need to take one more.
I
could talk about this for hours, but we need to get in our last break.
Yeah, we'll talk a little high school football when we come back as we wrap it up. Let's do that.
Sounds good to me, man.
All right, that's next on Miller Time.
Life is complicated, but your finances shouldn't have to be. At BCT, we simplify your financial life. Bank of Charlestown is a locally owned community bank with 7 conveniently located offices serving the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, Middleburg, Virginia, and their newest office in Hagerstown, Maryland. With over 140 years of experience, BCT is the tri-state area's choice for fast, convenient, and hassle-free banking solutions. Whether you are a high school senior looking for a student checking account, a college graduate purchasing a new car, a first-time home buyer, or investing for retirement, BCT has flexible solutions to fit your lifestyle. BCT is committed to providing everyday ways to simplify your financial life. Also, make sure you are following BCT on Twitter and Instagram at MyBCT or like their Facebook page to see how BCT reinvests local deposits back into the communities they serve. BCT, we simplify your financial life.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A DUI arrest can have a devastating impact on one's life, your job, your driver's license, and in some cases, your very freedom. My name is Harley Wagner. I own and operate West Virginia's only exclusive DUI defense firm. Since 1999, I've been representing citizens throughout the Eastern Panhandle and state of West Virginia charged with DUI. Let my years of training and experience work for you.
The initial consultation is free at the Wagner Law Firm in Martinsburg. Phone 304-901-7400 or online at westvirginiaduilawyers.com.
WVU Medicine is pleased to announce the addition of orthopedic surgeon Dr. Craig Clark to the Jefferson Medical Center staff and WVU Medicine Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Dr. Clark joins Dr. Bradford Wright and the team at WVU Medicine Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, offering leading-edge, full-service orthopedic care. Both board-certified orthopedic surgeons specialize in total joint replacements and general orthopedics, as well as sports medicine. For more info, call WVU Medicine Orthopedics and Sports Medicine at 304-725-2663.
It's that time of year again. I'm Ron Springer, head golf professional at the Woods, and I'm excited to announce the second annual Tournament of Champions on October 5th. Want to dethrone the 2017 champs? Now's the time to enter your team into one of the many qualifying tournaments here at the Woods. Not only can you win more money for your sponsoring organization, you can also win great prizes for you and your teammates. For a list of qualifying tournaments, see ads in the Journal, Around the Panhandle, and at thewoods.com. It's on.
Hi, this is Tom Bibby, and I'm the Republican candidate for the West Virginia House of Delegates for District 62. I'm running because I want to cut taxes, limit government spending, and reduce overregulation to promote economic growth and prosperity for West Virginia.
You know what you're getting with Tom Bibby. Someone who will listen and work hard to represent you and fight for increased accountability and transparency in government. Not a career politician, Tom is a retired military officer and pilot with over 45 years in the public and private sectors. You can find out more about Tom's campaign at tombibbywv.com.
If you elect me as your delegate for District 62, my focus will be on creating jobs and the benefits that come from a vibrant economy, and I'll work hard to improve the quality of life for you and all West Virginians.
You can count on Tom Bibby to represent conservative values. He's pro-life, pro-family, pro-Second Amendment, pro-business, pro-taxpayer, and above all, he's pro-West Virginia.
To find out more about my campaign, please visit my website at tombibbywv.com. That's tombibbywv.com. Thank you for listening. I would appreciate your vote this November.
This ad is paid for by the candidate, Tom Bibby, with the help of many supporters.
That's great. It starts with an earthquake, birds and snakes, an airplane. Lenny Bruce's.
Is it truly the end of the world as we know it?
It's almost the end of the show as we know it.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. It is almost 7 o'clock, and we got to get you off to the Dana Holgerson show as we wrap up Miller time. Quickly, breaking news out of the NFL. It appears Le'Veon Bell will join the Pittsburgh Steelers in their Week 7 bye week. So he's got 3 more weeks to, I guess, work himself into shape. Here's the quote that is on the ESPN story. Apparently they spoke with him, and he says, "It sucks having to sit out football. I want to play. I want to win games and the playoffs." And then says, "But I got to take this stand knowing my worth and knowing I can tear a ligament or get surgery at any time. I knew I couldn't play 16 games with 400 or more touches."
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you legitimately think that Le'Veon Bell would bring in himself, just him playing, $14 million worth of net gross to the Pittsburgh Steelers? In jersey sales and people buying a ticket going, "I'm only coming to see Le'Veon Bell"?
Probably not.
Then he's not worth that. Honestly, if you're saying that he's saying that he's worth more than that, to me, that means that he is going to bring in that much money to the organization.
I mean, I'm sure he's bringing in a lot, but I don't know that ticket sales have gone down because he's not there. People love their Steelers, whether who plays or not who plays. All right, final 30 seconds. We said we'd hit high school football.
Martinsburg won 34 in a row, 6-7-0 over Washington Trano coming up Friday. There you go.
There you go. And Musselman with a 13-7 win up at Morgantown, that's a big one.
Spring Mills fell at Boonesboro 48-12. That's 3 in a row for the Cardinals.
And that means
giving up 40-plus in all 3 of those losses.
Musselman hosting Hedgesville. We got 2 really big games in the Eastern Panhandle on Friday night. We'll talk about those throughout the week. All right, that does it. Miller time for this Monday in the books. This is Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg. It's time for the Dana Holgerson Show.
The following is a presentation of IMG, America's home for college sports.